I'm Lewis and my dad died.
My name's Caroline and I lost my husband.
My name's Sarah. My husband, Ben, died 7 years ago.
Sasha died 8 years ago. Jenna was only 5 years old then, and Ella, her sister, was only 8.
Hi, my name's Juliet. I lost my husband 8 years ago.
Hi, I'm Aidan, and I lost my father 8 years ago.
Hello, my name is Shinobi.
Hi, my name's Lorna.
I saw my dad on the phone, and when he put it down, he was sad. He said, Nanny is gone.
He was diagnosed 10 years before he died with a brain tumour.
It was a terrible shock. We didn't know that he had this heart condition.
We dropped her off to the airport, thought we would be seeing her in a couple of weeks' time, and we got a phone call to say she'd had a stroke.
The person that died wasn't my husband, it wasn't the man I married, and I think it was time for him to go and to be without pain.
And at the time they were treating him for what they thought was a blood clot on his lungs, but he actually had 14 heart attacks in 10 hours.
We made arrangements to fly out to see her, but unfortunately she died before we got there.
The hospital staff tried very, very hard to keep him with us, but it was just too much for him.
Unfortunately, Aidan was with me when we found him, which obviously was horrific for both of us and for me as a parent.
I coped because I had to, but I remember my daughter saying that she never remembered Daddy being well. I think one of the hardest things was actually telling James and Charlie that their dad had died. That was tough.
I didn't know what to do. I literally Googled how to tell a child their parent had died.
We need to speak in a very definite way and explain that Mummy is gone and is not coming back, which is very hard to do to a 5-year-old. There's
no easy way to say it, so I just, said it straight that, their daddy had gone, he died. They both cried.
Lewis was only 4 at the time. He just gave me a big hug, put his arms around me and just cried for a long time. My eldest son, Fraser, who is 2 years older, he was 6 at the time. He asked me 3 questions. Who's going to earn the money now? Are we still going to Disneyland on holiday? And are you getting married again? So all these, that was what was going through the mind of a 6-year-old.
She didn't really grasp it until she was probably 7 or 8.
Finally started to realise that, she was never going to come back.
You just one foot in front of the other, just one day at a time. But then you're dealing with your own grief, and then also I was dealing with Aidan's grief, and then also I had a 2-year-old who was grieving completely differently again.
It's very difficult to keep things on an even keel, and you don't want the children to be further damaged by seeing you not being able to cope.
I thought that my parents were really sad already, so I didn't want to put a burden on them.
My daughter, cried, said it wasn't fair, nobody understood. And as a mother, that's really hard because I didn't understand. It wasn't my dad that had died, and it wasn't fair. And I couldn't give her any answers.
Obviously, once you've dealt with the immediate grief, then you're left to reflect on it, and so it stirs a lot of things up for you again as well.
And the person that you want to lean on is not there anymore. So it falls on your shoulders. And that's when I went to the doctors. I realised I couldn't cope with James and Charlie's grief anymore.
The reason we actually came to CB UK was because the teacher said to me that Aidan was coming into school every day and crying, and what he was doing is he wasn't crying at home because he didn't want to upset me, so he was going into school.
I wouldn't be able to get things out for ages, and then if I didn't talk for a while, it would build up, and then there'd be one evening where I'd be at home and then I'd just be in tears.
When Aidan started secondary school, I knew he was struggling a bit.
People would start saying, oh, your dad this, your dad that, oh, haha, it's funny. I could not wrap my head around why kids were saying this.
I didn't know if I was saying the right things, doing the right things. And that's why I needed help. It wasn't getting any better.
The charity provided some one-on-one support for the girls where they would have an hour counselling session.
And obviously they dealt with lots and lots of children who've been through similar situations.
My daughter was very reluctant. She didn't want to talk to anybody. But, you know, Anne just got the best out of her. They started playing a game and she started to engage, and, you know, suddenly she was able to not talk about her feelings, but just talk, which she hadn't done.
They were really fantastic. From the first meeting, Shinobi was very comfortable with them, and immediately he was able to express how he was feeling. That was hard for me because he hadn't said it at home. So it was really good to see that he was getting the help that he needed.
It also gave me an opportunity to be with other parents that have been bereaved. And it helped to talk and understand that they were going through the same or similar things that you were going through. It was a long process, but it just worked.
They've just given us the support that we needed to go forward.
You know, we wouldn't be where we are now without the charity. It helped every aspect of home life and school life and work life, because the more adjusted the children became, like I say, the better our relationship became and the happier they became. And once they're happier, you feel as a parent that you're making some progress.
I always like to think that we're doing things that Michael would have wanted us to do, to carry on, to try and keep happy.
Your perspective on life is very different, and it is to live for now and enjoy it and have fun, because you don't know what's around the corner.